Mr. Mthethwa? Mr. Mthethwa, you remember the statement which I read into the record, which was made by Miss Sylvia Happy Ngubeni.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with paragraph 13. Okay, sorry, my lord, just paragraph 8. Paragraph 8 of the statement, wherein it says, I saw Senzo BMW reversing out of the Kumalo's gate and drove away. I couldn't see the occupants. I then proceeded to Kumalo Yard, where I found my daughter, Gugu. She was carrying Tingo, Kelly's daughter. There was also some other neighbors I could remember, Julia Masia and Maggie Piri.
Lana ke ila asho khona ke umama Ngubeni lo ukuthi wayibona ke BMW kaSenzo iphuma khona ke kwaKhumalo akazange ababone ukuthi ubani babengaphakathi wase eya khona ke kwaKhumalo wathola indodakazi yakhe uGugu ephethe ingane kaKelly uThingo kwakunabanye omakhelwane abakhumbulayo uJulia Masia kanye noMaggie Piri.
The reason why I'm referring you to this paragraph is to show you that there are people who remained inside the premises before your arrival, immediately after the deceased was taken out to the hospital.
Imbangela ke ukuthi ngikufundeleke yona le paragraph ukutshengisa ukuthi kunabantu abangena egcekeni la kwaKhumalo nje emuva kokuthi bamthatha umufi bemhambisa esibhedlela.
Okay. Do you hear that? Yes.
Uyakuzwa.
And also that Mr. Themba Khumalo is not the only person who was left at the scene when the deceased was taken to the hospital.
Nokuthi ke ubaba uThemba Khumalo akusiyena kuphela umuntu owasala khona lapha yana ke nkathi bemhambisa umufi ke beya naye esibhedlela. Yes.
And that there are people who had access into the crime scene, even into the house, when they cleaned the house.
Nokuthi ke bakhona ke noma babe khona abantu abakwazi ke ukuthi bangene ngaphakathi endlini nokuthi futhi baze baqine.
Okay. Do you hear that? Okay. And let's go again to paragraph 13, which says, my lord, the reason I went into the house is because I wanted to see what happened in the house. When we were in the house, I saw water on the floor and the passage near the toilet door. I was amazed to see the water on the floor. Do you see that?
Nokuthi ke imbangela yokuthi ngingene phakathi endlini kwakuwukuthi ngangifisa ukubona ukuthi kwenzekani lapho nokuthi inkathi sengiphakathi ke endlini ngabona amanzi ke phansi ku passage eduze nomnyango wase toilet. Kwangimangaza ke ukuthi ngibone amanzi phansi. Uma ngangazi ke ukuthi kwakunomuntu owayedutshuliwe khona lapho.
And yet when you arrived, you also left the crime scene unattended by the police.
Nokuthi ke inkathi nifika nina nathi uma nihamba ke nahamba isini leyo nayishiya ke ingagadiwe. Okay.
Paragraph 15. Maggie Piri started to pick up, I've read this paragraph, my lord. Thank you. Maggie Piri started to pick up the empties from the floor. I asked her why she's tidying up before the police could arrive at the scene. Maggie responded that she doesn't want the police to see that the people who were inside the house were drinking. Do you hear that?
Nala nokuthi ke uMaggie Piri waseqala ke uqoqa ke ama-empty ayephansi ngambuza ke ukuthi kungani ecleaner ngaphambi kokuthi amaphoyisa afike. Waphendula ke uMaggie Piri wathi akafuni ukuthi amaphoyisa abone ukuthi abantu ababelapho endlini babephuza utshwala.
Do you hear that?
Okay. Yes.
Do you agree with me that this paragraph means that the crime scene was cleaned, the crime scene was tampered with before you arrived?
Uzovumelana ke uyavuma yini uma ngithi kuwena ke nje uma ufunda la lokho engiqeda ukufunda manje lokhu kuyashoka ukuthi kwa cleaner futhi kwa temperishwa ke la ku crime scene ngaphambi kokuthi nifike nina. Yes, I hear you.
Paragraph 15 of the same statement. The police arrived at the scene and they went into the house. I can't remember who opened the house for them. They came out and I always saw the police van and I thought the police were always in the vicinity. Later, a contingent of police arrived at the crime scene. But the point I'm trying to make here is that, do you see that when you arrived as the police officers at the crime scene, the witnesses were already looking at you when you arrived, when the crime scene had already been tampered with? In other words, you came after the tampering.
Lana ke engikufuna nje ukuvezela kona ke ukuthi ke nanje ngoba uyashoka lana ukuthi kwase kufika amaphoyisa amaningi ngangwabona ngaso sonke isikhathi ukuthi la ngalesikhathi nifika umphakathi babenibona futhi ke nifika kamuva sebelungisileke noma sebetemperile lapha ya kwisini ngokwale line le ya statement. Okay.
And the police, they closed the gate with the tapes and instructed all the people to go out of the yard and only the family members must remain. You see that?
Lana ke amaphoyisa ase evala ke igate ngawo ama-tape base betshela wonke umuntu ukuthi aphumeke egcekeni kusala bomndeni kuphela.
Do you agree with that?
Uyavumelana nalokho? I hear you.
Yes, do you agree with that? That the crime scene was then cordoned off by those police officers.
Ukuthi kwase kukodinwa ke i-crime scene.
And other people were asked to move out of the premises and only the family members that were allowed to remain inside.
Nokuthi ke base bekhishwa kabantu kwathi akusala bomndeni kuphela. I agree, but there were no people inside.
There were no people inside. But the gist of my question is that you see that by the time you cordoned off the crime scene, it had already been tampered with.
Kodwa ke engikuveza kuwena ke ukuthi ngalesikhathi ke senivala ke noma senikhodina office leyana ukuthi kwakusekukhona okwenziwe kwisini leyana.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then let's go. Is it correct that you also made the second statement?
Ingabe kuyiqiniso yini ukuthi sikhona nesesibili statement owasenza?
Dated 12 October 2018.
Sange 12 October 2018.
SPA 98. It's an additional statement that you made from the first one that you made immediately after the incident.
Nesesibili lesowasenza.
Do you see that statement?
Yes, one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you look at the last page? Do you confirm that is your signature?
Page open.
I think under paragraph 17 there, you know it better than me. I know and understand the contents of this statement.
Yes, it is mine.
You see, it's your signature. And the date it was given by you on this particular date.
Wasenza ngale date le bhaliwe la.
Which is the 12th of October 2018. Mr. Mthethwa, speak like a police officer now.
12 is October 2018.
Yeah.
Yes.
You used to taking statements at the church office, ne?
I'm going to try to look at it at me in the church office.
Or you don't take them?
No, we touch. I do.
Oh, okay. Then let's go together in this statement. Let's go to paragraph 7, Mr.
7.
Mthethwa. Or Sergeant. You were a constable by then, am I correct?
Wow, what's up? Ngaleso sikhathi leso angithi. Yes.
And then now what is your rank?
Manje? Surgeon.
Oh, okay. So pardon me if I still refer to you as constable.
Yeah, police umangisathi constable.
Sergeant Mthethwa, let's go to paragraph 7, line number 5. I understand Mr. Mthethwa, that the statement was read back to you and you understood it as a police officer. Am I correct?
Wasifundelwa, uyasizwa ke nanjengephoyisa.
Yebo.
Yes.
And when you signed the statement, you confirmed the correctness and the truthfulness of this statement.
Uma usayinda ke uvumelana ke nokuthi kuyiqiniso ke okubhaliwe kusona. Yes.
Okay. Paragraph 7, line number 5. My lord, maybe can I just read the whole paragraph of paragraph 7?
Yes.
Thank you. Paragraph 7 of your statement, Mr. Mthethwa, it says, we went back to the house and we met a black male in the yard near the gate. We introduced ourselves and informed him that we are attending to a shooting incident happened in that house. The man identified himself to us as Themba Khumalo, the uncle to Kelly Khumalo. He informed us that he was requested by his sister Gladness Khumalo to guard the house as they were rushing to the hospital.
Lana ke ifundeka ngalendlela sasesibuyela khona ke endlini sahlangana ke nomuntu wesilisa umuntu omnyama egcekeni eduze kwegate sayichaza kuyena ukuthi siobani naye ke nokuthi size lapho ke ngokuthi sizwileke noma sithola umbiko ukuthi ke kwaba nokudubula okhona lapho endlini wayichaza ke yena Themba Khumalo umalume kaKelly Khumalo wasesazisa noma esitshela ke ukuthi wacelwa udadewabo uGladness Khumalo ukuthi abheke umuzi nanjengoba bona besaphuthuma esibhedlela.
Do you understand that statement?
Uyasizwa le statement?
Yeah.
Yes.
In other words, it means Themba Khumalo introduced to yourself as uncle of Kelly Khumalo.
Ukusho ukuthi uma eyichaza yena kuwena washo ukuthi umalume kaKelly Khumalo.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a brother to Miss Gladness Makhumalo. If I say Makhumalo, I'm referring to Gladness.
Nokuthi ke umfowabo kaGladness Khumalo uMakhumalo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yet, as a police officer, you decided to leave the crime scene with a person who was a relative to the suspects.
How did he know that? On the 26th of October.
Can I just rephrase it, madam?
Yes. Nobody knew who were the
Mr.
suspects.
Mthethwa, is it correct that at that time you did not know who the suspect and who was not the suspect?
Ngabe kuyiqiniso yini ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi leso ke ngalelanga nanile khona lapha naningazi ukuthi ubani abasola obani engasibona abasolwa?
Yeah.
Yes.
And your duty there was to protect, was to safeguard the crime scene regardless of having any knowledge of a relationship between the people who were inside the house, but to anyone who is accessing the crime scene.
Kodwa ke okwenu lapho kwakuwukuthi nje nigade nokuthi ni safeguard ke umuzi loyana nokuthi lo muntu lowo uhlobeneke noma uumndeni noma akasiwona umndeni ukuthi nje nina nigade nje isini ukuthi ungabi namuntu ongenayo khona lapha yana.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was, sorry, my lord, not that was. That was a duty on you as the police officer to make sure that the crime scene is not accessed
Kwakunina ke
by
maphoyisa.
any other people.
Kwakunina ke maphoyisa ukuthi nenze isiqiniseko sokuthi lapha yana akungeni nje abanye abantu.
Yeah.
Yes.
And including Mr. Themba Khumalo.
Kanye naye uThemba Khumalo loyo.
It was within your powers as the SAPS, after seeing out inside that there are exhibits inside there, to say, give us the house keys, we are now going to take over control of this house as police officers.
Nokuthi ke nithi kuyena ke emuva kokuthi seningenile ke endlini nabona ke ukuthi kunani ke ngaphakathi nithi kuyena ke sinikeze ikhiya manje ke sekuzoba yithina ke manje abazolawula ke noma bazocontrola la.
Ungena ke endlini noma nalendoda yaKhumalo umalume. Ayikho into ayisitshela ukuthi kwenzakele something lapha endlini.
When we entered the house together with the Khumalo gentleman, nothing informed us that something had happened in that house.
Yeah, but you had been reported
Kodwa-ke nanitsheliwe.
what had happened. And there's a report that you received from the station, Mr. Mthethwa. I don't want us to dwell on that. You have received the complaint. By the time you left at the station, you knew very well when you entered there. And it was confirmed that there is a shooting incident that has taken place here.
Uma nihamba estation nanutholile umbiko nanazi ukuthi niyaphi futhi kwenzakeleni la eniya khona.
Noma ngabe utholile umbiko kodwa nawe kumele mawufika la uyakhona ube nebelief yokuthi vele khona into eyenzakele la if kungekho umuntu okutshelayo ukuthi kwenzakalani.
Also, even if you had received a report, but when you get to that particular scene, you also need to have that belief in the absence of anyone telling you as to what had happened.
Mr. Mthethwa, I put it to you that you were reckless and ignorant in not safeguarding the crime scene after you had received the report that there had been a shooting incident.
Naba reckless-ke ngendlela yokuthi-ke ningabheki-ke ninganakekeli noma nivikeleke i-crime scene leyana futhi ukuthi nje anizange ninaba reckless anizange ninake futhi ekuthini nibheke-ke noma ni-safeguard i-scene.
And that point has been made ad nauseum. We submit that it's a matter that should be left for argument. Witnesses commented on that aspect several times.
But life also doesn't teach us all the answers. There are two policemen that come to investigate a shooting, as you correctly say, at 133, 155, Kutwano Street. They find the uncle, let's put it like this, the brother to Mrs. Kumalo,
Yes, ma'am.
who is left with the trust that because you are a relative, look after my house.
Yes.
That is a factual situation.
But
Now, wait. I want to tell Mr. Kumalo, I Pumala Penjinwin. Life doesn't work like that. That's why he says he wanted to know what is happening. And Kumalo, being helpful, he says, you know what? I don't know the real facts. I'm guarding the house for my sister Gladness. They're at hospital. Go and find out from that. I mean, it's reasonable.
my lord, it is reasonable in the eyes of the court. But with me...
No, of human experience.
My lord, of human experience,
Yes.
but with me, my submission, my lord, is that the witness, as the police officers, after entering inside the house and after
And who opens up for them?
and after having received the report from Mr. Temba Kumalo, as the police officers, my lord, they ought to have taken control of the crime scene. As the police officer, they ought to have taken control of the crime scene.
And chase away Temba Kumalo.
And instruct Temba Kumalo to wait outside in order to safeguard the tempering of the crime scene.
And at that time, they don't know what has happened in the house.
Now it appears that Temba Kumalo is an uncle to a
Yes.
person who is a suspect in
It's
this
an
matter.
afterthought, you're right. After.
So that's why...
Apprising themselves of the situation. Now they know that actually, even Senzo Meiwa is the person who was shot. After.
Yes.
But it's okay to foresee the future without having the background knowledge.
But my point... my
Okay,
lord,
fine, you have made your point. I'm
My
just saying.
point is that the police officers, it is their duty to safeguard the crime scene on their arrival at the crime scene.
Yeah, fine.
Yes, that's the point I'm making.
Okay.
And now, do you see that the person who happened to be an uncle of one of the suspects is the one who was left with the house?
How could he have known before then? We only know, when was that docket, the second docket opened, Mr. Mnisi?
In January of 2019.
That's it. It's general knowledge that the second docket is opened in January 2019. After how many years? After the first one? After 5 years.
5 years.
That's the point. So nobody knew that their so-called relatives, the sisters, the brothers, their suspects. Nobody knew until 2019 July. That's fact. Not speculation.
That's fact, my lord, but my point is, had you done your job properly?
Okay.
Yes, my lord.
Okay.
Had you done your job properly as a police officer, Mr. Mthethwa, do you know what else, what other instructions were given to Mr. Khumalo, who was given the keys and who was asked to guard the house?
Ngabe uyazini ukuthi yikuphi okunye abakutshelwa noma abaku-instructwa ubaba uKhumalo?
How will the witness know that? Is he expected to speculate? He never testified about it.
My lord, if the witness doesn't know, he doesn't. You need to answer, my lord.
Even if it's
even if he doesn't have the answer, he must say that I don't have any response.
Mr. Mthethwa, are you able to respond?
Ikuphi okunye abakutshelwa ubaba uKhumalo lo njengoba wayeshiwe nesikhiya ukuthi akabheke umuzi, ikuphi okunye abakutshelwa noma amanye ama-instructions awanikwa?
Angikwazi awanikwa.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Okay.
The second statement that was made by Ngobeni is statement 1A118. My lord, I will read the whole statement, although I just want to refer this witness.
Is that the one of Gugu?
It's Queen Ngobeni, yes, my lord.
The one who was lying on her bed
Yes, my
and
lord.
jumped out.
Yes, my lord.
Undaba. And then he goes there and says, I'm going to remove the alcohol so that the police mustn't find it.
Can I just read it, my lord, so that you...
No, I've heard you read it. That's why I'm quoting it.
Not the
You
one
can,
for
quote,
Sid-
you can quote what you are disputing, or if saying it's unreasonable of him or her.
Okay. So, without reading everything.
Is it not the same statement you read?
No, it's not, my lord. The first one
Or
I
is that
read...
Gugu is the daughter to the lady who was lying on bed at 8 o'clock?
Yes, my lord. The one I read is for Silver Happy Ngobeni.
Yes, yes. that's
I'm
the-
done with that.
Yeah,
one.
Silva is the mother to Gugu.
Yes, then now I'm reading for Queen Ngobeni.
Okay, fine.
Okay, thank you. Let's start. It's statement 118. Can I start? Okay. My lord, I will start from paragraph 3, also skip the particulars of a witness.
Yeah.
On the 26th of October, approximately, after 2000, I was at my parents' residence. The address is given, Fosloras. I was in the outside room in the yard with daughter watching TV. We were watching the 2020 movie. I can't remember the name of the movie. Paragraph 3. You see that one?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to read. Okay. Uchaza lona ke uGugu bekufundwe esika Sylvia kuqala manje ke uGugu lona indodakazi yakhe ke uSylvia nge 26 October 2014 isikhathi kwaku nje emuva ke ko80 ngangisendlini ke yabazali bami chaziwe ke iaddress eFosloras ngapha kwigumbi elingaphandle ke egcekeni kanye nendodakazi sibuke iTV sasibheke imovie ka8 ebusuku angisalikhumbuli igama layo.
I heard a bang outside and I thought it was Nonhlanhla's from outside door hitting on the wall on her shack. She's mentally ill and usually bangs the wall of her shack. Whilst watching TV, I felt slumbering and I decided to go to the house to sleep.
Ngezwa ke umsindo ngacabanga ukuthi uNonhlanhla ke wakumakhelwane noma wase next door oshaya ke obondeni lomkhukhu wakhe akaphathekileke kahle engqondweni futhi uvamisile ke ukuthi ashaye ubonda lomkhukhu wakhe ngathi ngisabheke iTV ngazizwa ke ukuthi ngiyozela ngase ngithatha isinqumo sokuthi ngiye endlini ngiyolala.
Paragraph 5, before I reached the door of the main house, I heard noise at the street, people shouting, speaking loud. I went to the gate and watched in the street. I saw a small crowd standing at the Khumalo's house and the Ngashe family standing in the yard. I then went to the Khumalo's house. I was carrying my daughter. On arrival in the Khumalo, I found Zandi, Kelly, and 2 other guys putting Senzo into his vehicle.
Ngaphambi kokuthi ngifike ke eminyango wasendlini ngezwa ke umsindo esitradini abantu bememeza ke bekhulumela phezulu ngahamba ke ngaya egateini ngamakhona ke ngabuka esitradini ngabona abantu bemi kwakhumalo futhi ke nabakwangqashe bemi nabo ke egcekeni labo ngase ngiyake kwakhumalo la ngangiphethe indodakazi yami mangifika khona lapho ngathola uZandi uKheli kanye nabalisa ababili befaka uSenzo emotweni yakhe.
Paragraph 7. I heard people saying that Senzo was shot by criminals. Mrs. Julia Masia was also in the yard. She came to me and took my daughter from me. Makhumalo came to me and handed to me Tingo, Kelly's daughter, house keys and a cell phone.
Ngase ngizwa ke abantu bethi uSenzo udutshulwa igebengu uJulia Masia wayesegcekeni naye ke weza kumina ke wasithatha indodakazi yami uMakhumalo weza kumina ke wanginikeza uThingo indodakazi kaKheli ikhiya zasendlini kanye ne-cell phone.
I later realized that the cell phone belongs to Senzo because people were phoning looking for Senzo. I remember Opa Manyisa, Orlando Pirates captain, and Mama J, the Pirates fan, sorry my lord, phoned looking for Senzo, and I gave my mom the phone to answer.
Kamuva ke ngase ngithola ke ukuthi kwakucingo lolo luka Senzo ngoba ke abantu babefona befuna uSenzo ngikhumbula ke uPamanyisa uCaptain wePirates kanye noMama J Mama Joy okumlandeli weOrlando Pirates naye ke efuna uSenzo ngase nginikeza uma wami ifoni ukuthi ayiphendule.
Paragraph 9. I don't know when did my mom arrive at the scene. I saw her standing in the yard with Mapiri in brackets Maggie, Julia next the kitchen door, the wall that separates the wall that separates the Ngasha yard and the Kumalo. The Ngashas were standing in their yard. It was Noma Kaye, and Mr. Ngashe.
Angazi ke ukuthi uma wami wafika nini lapho ngambona ke emi egcekeni kanye noMaphiri uMegi uJulia eduze ke kwesitapa sasekitchen eduze kobonda oluhlukanisa kwaNgqashe igceke la kaNgqashe kanye nelakaKhumalo abakwaNgqashe babemi egcekeni bona ke kwakunoma ukhaya kanye nobabungqashe.
Paragraph 11. I went to stand with them carrying Tingo. The door and the burglar door of the kitchen were outside opened. Later I saw Temba and his wife in the yard. While standing there with my mom and others neighbors, my mom suggested that the police must be summoned to the scene.
Ngase ngiyake ngiyoma kanye nabo ke ngiphethe uThingo stapa ke sase kanye nebagla zase kitchen zazivuliweke kamuva ke ngase ngibona uThemba Khumalo kanye futhi nenkosikazi wakhe bese egcekeni ngathi ngimilo ke lapho kanye noma wami kanye nabanye omakhelwane wabesethi uma wami ke akubizwe amaphoyisa.
Paragraph 12. My mom is happy Ngubane. I heard Mapiri saying no, we must not call the police. Kaya Ngashe then called the police and reported the incident. Mapiri suggested that we go inside the house to check what happened.
Uma wami happy Ngubeni ngezwa ke uMaphiri ethi cha awangafonelwa amaphoyisa wase ukhaya Ngashe ke ewafonela amaphoyisa wabika ke udaba lolo uMaphiri wabesethi ke asingene ngaphakathi endlini siyobheka ukuthi kwenzekeni.
Paragraph 13. She walked in front followed by my mom and Julia. I followed from behind and Temba with his wife followed me. I went into the house until the kitchen wall, the fridge. I heard my mother saying, "Where does this water come from?" in the passage. I then looked towards the passage and saw water on the floor.
Wahamba phambili ke elandela uma wami kanye noJulia ngalandela ke ngasemuva noThemba nonkosikazi wakhe ke balandela mina ngase ngena ke endlini ngaze ngayofinyelela ke ekitchen eduze kwefridge ngezwa uma ebuza ke noma ethi abuyapi lamanzi asepassagini ngabheka ke ngasepassagini ngabona ke amanzi phansi.
Paragraph 15, I further heard my mother saying, Mapiri, why are you tidying up before the police could arrive at the scene? I didn't see what was she doing or removing. I went outside, and when I was outside, Themba said the house must be locked, everybody must go outside. I then gave him the key, and everybody was outside the house. Themba locked the house.
Ngase ngizwa ke uma wami ethi kuMaphiri kungani uklina ngaphambi kokuthi amaphoyisa afike khona lapho angizange ngiboneke ukuthi yini awayeyenza noma ke eyisusa ngase ngiphumela ngaphandle ke ngathi uma ngingaphandle ngezwa uThemba ethi indlu kuzofanele ukuthi ikhiweke wonke umuntu aphumele ngaphandle ngase ngimnikeza ke isikhiya wonke umuntu wasephumela ngaphandle ke uThemba wase ekhiya endlini.
When my mother, paragraph 16, my lord, when my mother was asking that why Mapiri was tidying up, she responded that she doesn't want people to see that they were drinking later. Nomakaya took Tingo, saying it was cold, and myself and Kaya went to the hospital. In that hospital, I found Zandi and sat with her. Pirates players arrived and wanted to enter into the hospital ward by force. That is when I learned that Senzo had passed on. He went back to the Kumalo. Is it he or we went back to the Kumalo houses and could enter into the yard because however, we could enter in the yard because the police now cut it off.
We could not.
I think it's supposed to be we could not, yes.
We couldn't.
Yes. Can I just read it as that, my lord? Cutting off the house and people were not allowed inside the house.
Nkathi uma wami embuza ke uMaphiri ukuthi kwakungani ke eklina waphendula ke wathi akafuna ukuthi abantu baboneke ukuthi babephuza. Kamuva ke uNomakhaya wasethatha uThingo ethi ke kuyabanda mina ke noKhaya sahamba saya esibhedlele ke ngathola uZandi ngaze ngahlala naye ke abadlali bePirates bafika ke futhi befuna ke ungena njenge force khona ke kwiward leyo ila angezwe khona ke ukuthi uSenzo useshiyile noma akasekho emhlabeni sabuyela khona ke kwakhumalo kodwa ke azange sikwazi ke ungena igcekeni ngoba amaphoyisa ayesevalileke endlini futhi nabantu bengavunyelwa ukuthi bangene phakathi.
Paragraph 18, the last paragraph. He stood outside in the street. I later saw Makumalo and gave her the cell phone. When I went to the hospital, the police didn't yet arrive at the scene. At the hospital, Zandi was with Ntabiseng when I found her.
Sema ngaphandle ke estradini kamuva ke ngabona uMakhumalo ngase ngimnikeza ke ucingo uma ngiya esibhedlele amaphoyisa ayengekafiki ke kwindawo yesigameko esibhedlele uZandi wayendawonye noNthabiseng ngathi ngimthola.
The statement was signed by the witness on the 10th of July 2018 at Thokoza.
Lo fakazi ke wasayinda ke le statement nge-10 kaJuly 2018 khona eThokoza.
The paragraph that I wanted to refer you to is paragraph 15 only.
The paragraph 15 kuphela ke ebengifuna ukukhuluma nawe ngaye.
Which says, I further heard my mother saying, Mapiri, why are you tidying up before the police could arrive at the scene?
La ithi khona ke ngase ngizwa ke uma wami embuza noma ethi kuMaphiri kungani uklina ngaphambi kokuthi amaphoyisa afike.
I didn't see what was she doing or removing. I went outside, and when I was outside, Themba said the house must be locked, everybody must go outside.
Angizange ngikuboneke awayekwenza noma awayekususa ngaphumela ngaphandle ngathi uma sengengaphandle ke uThemba wathi kufanele indlu ikhiwe nokuthi wonke umuntu kufanele aphumele ngaphandle ke ngase ngimnikeza ke ikhiya wonke umuntu waphumela ngaphandle uThemba wakhiya endlini.
I've already referred you to the statement of the mother of Queen, but I just want you to see that this is the second person who is confirming that the crime scene was cleaned off before you arrived.
Lokhu ke bese ngikufundile ngaphambilini kwistatement esikama wakhe ukuthi nje ngifisa nje ukuthi ngikhombise ukuthi umuntu wesibili ke manje oshoyo ukuthi impela kwacleanwa lapha yana. Okay.
And also I wanted to show you that the Themba Khumalo, whom you met at the crime scene, was not the first person who had handled the keys for the house before you arrived.
Nokuthi ke uThemba Khumalo enamfica nina lapha yana kwangasi umuntu oqala ke okwakuyena owaphethe ikhiya ngaphambi kokuthi nifike.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, my lord. I have.
Please, Malota, we just want to point out that in the paragraph that my learned friend has read, this witness is saying, I didn't see what was she doing or removing. So I don't understand my learned friend's contention that this supports what the witness mother is saying when she herself says she didn't see what Mapiri was doing.
Yes. Okay.
No, my lord, I think I was just putting the emphasis to say there's another person
Okay, fine.
who
All right.
witnessed the crime scene being tampered with.
Okay. Any re-examination?
My lord, before I wrap up with my cross-examination, the witness said he will bring tomorrow the list of the qualifications.
How is it going to help this court?
It is going to assist the defense, my lord.
In what way?
In conducting its case.
In what way?
Yes, checking the experience and the qualifications of the witness, because there are so many things that were not done properly. And then we will understand if he was just a junior constable without any
He
qualifications.
was a junior constable. He said I was a constable, 5 years experience.
Or with some qualifications of which we'll have to see
Okay, fine.
if there is any weight to attach to those qualifications.
Okay. Are you available tomorrow, Mr. Mthethwa?
Yes, my lord.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
You must bring that
I'm a course.
resume, curriculum resume.
The courses that we attended.
Yeah.
You're referring to the courses?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the matric also. Thank you, my lord.
That's a way up.
Mr.
Where's
Malloy? Any re-examination?
As a court, please, my lord, just two aspects. The first aspect relates to the second statement made by the witness. We just beg leave that the statement be handed up as Exhibit Y. The statement has already been proven, my
Yeah,
lord.
okay.
This one.
And there was cross-examination by counsel for accused number 4, intimating recent fabrication. And in this regard, paragraph 7 has already been put on record. Can you just put the contents of paragraph 8 on record?
Tuqala ke lokhu ke uparagraph 7 bese kukhulunywa uparagraph 8 manje ungachaza ke ngoparagraph 8 lona.
If you can also assist him just to read the contents of paragraph 8 in the record.
Further indicated that must it be read? Must it be read?
Yeah.
Yes, it's-
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Just read it in the record.
Paragraph 8, he further indicated that he was at the house when the shooting happened. However, he was told that Kelly's boyfriend Senzo Meiwa was shot and was taken to the hospital. We asked him to open the house. Themba unlocked the house and we got into the house to investigate.
Yes. Further on, regarding the blood spots.
Is it 9?
Yes.
In the house, I noticed small drops of blood on the floor in the kitchen and beer cans in the sitting room. When you asked Themba to lock the house, and we proceeded. Sorry. In the house, I noticed small drops of blood on the floor in the kitchen and the beer cans in the sitting room. We then asked Themba to lock the house, and we proceeded to the hospital. At the gate of Buchilong Private Hospital, we met Kelly Kumalo driving a BMW X6.
Yes, that's fine. Can you just clarify the aspects of the blood spots?
Ucela ke uchazelana ke ngoba uyasho ke la ku paragraph 9 ukuthi ke endlini sabona ke ama drops amancane egazi phansi ekitchen kanye namakani.
Where were the blood spots?
Aye kuphi ke lama blood spots?
It's a dining room.
In the dining room.
Thank you. Now, all counsel ask you as to why you didn't secure the scene after your first visit to the house. Firstly, you mentioned that you first wanted to interview the person with knowledge of the incident, as Mr. Themba Kumalo had no such knowledge, to verify the incident. Is that correct?
Bonke ke abameli bakubuzile ukuthi kwakungani ke ningasecure ke isini leyana wathi ke umuphendula ke nanifuna qala ukuthi nikhulumisane ke nomuntu owayekwazi lokho kwenzeka nanjengokuthi ke yena ke uThemba Khumalo wayengazi lutho mayelana nokwenzeka.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you also, in cross-examination by accused number 4's counsel, you mentioned that upon arrival at the scene, there was nothing that indicated that something had happened there.
Uma ubuzwa uyena ke ummeli kaMsolo wesine ushilo nokuthi futhi ke nkathi nifika lapha yanokuqala kwakungenalutho eyayinikhombisa ke ukuthi kukhona okwenzeka khona lapha.
Yeah.
Yes.
And lastly, you mentioned that you requested Mr. Themba Khumalo to lock the door,
Okugcina ke uthi
to lock the house.
nase nimcela ke yena uThemba Khumalo ukuthi akhiye endlini.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam. That is all.
Oh, you want to ask something? Yes.
But I don't know, this might be a bit unprocedural. However, I'm going to request the court to grant me indictment.
No, you're granted. This is about justice. I told
As
you.
it please the court.
It's not about taking legal points.
I would have referred to the court to R versus Hepworth. Thank you, Madam. Mr. Mthethwa, just a very quick one, just one or two aspects. I think there's a statement that has already been proven, a statement that was deposed to on the 12th of October 2018. Yes, your statement that you deposed to on the 12th of November 2018, it's A98.
Okay. Let's see.
Mr. Mthethwa, are you with me? Because I see you playing with your fingers there, and as I'm talking, you don't seem to be around here. Yeah, I'm going to request you to pay a bit of more attention. Do you understand? Thank you, sir. On paragraph 13, I think it's just a continuation of paragraph 12, but basically I want us to focus on paragraph 13, where it says, we found Themba at the house, and let me give a bit of a background, because I don't want to confuse them. Let's start in paragraph 12, where we say, when Constable Mokwili and Ramahala arrived, we left to the scene. At the hospital, I saw Chikotwala standing, folding his hands in the passage. We also met Kelly's mother, who explained to us what happened. She told us that two guys entered the house demanding money and cell phones. The fight ensued, and Senzo was then shot. We then took her and went back to the house to properly process the scene. We found Themba at the house and he opened the house. She, I can only assume that this is reference to Makumalo, pointed out where they were seated and we started searching the house. We found a bullet on the sink table. There were fragment bullets on the kitchen floor and the tiles. And the tiles were damaged. The kitchen door has a bullet hole. Do you follow?
uConstable Mukwele noRamohala bafika ke sasesihamba thina ke esibhedlele ngabona uChikotwala emi lapho ke egoqe izandla zakhe epassagini sahlangana futhi ke noMakakheli owasichazela ukuthi kwenzakalani wasitshela ke ukuthi kwangena abalisa ababili endlini befuna imali kanye nama cell phones kwaseqala ke kwasekuliwa ke uSenzo wadubuleka sase simthatha ke sibuyela khona ke endlini ukuyoprocessa kahle ke iscene sathola uThemba endlini wasivulela ke indlu wasekhomba ke ngicabanga ukuthi khuluma ngoMakhumalo ukuthi babehlezi kuphi nendawo nokuthi sase siqala ukuthi siseshe endlini sathola ke inhlamvu kwi sink no yebo ku sink la kwakukhona ke no damagekile ke noma ama fragments ebullet ke ayese kitchen phansi nokuthi othayela futhi babonakalisiwe noma babonakele isicabha sase kitchen naso ke sasinembobo yenhlamvu.
Do you understand?
Uyakuzwa lokho? Yes.
Did I get you well in your evidence in chief? When you said that the bullet or the spent bullet, there was a definition of what is it actually, was actually found on the floor, on the kitchen floor.
Ingabe ngikuzwe kahle yini kubufakazi bakho khona ke lokuchaza nenhlamvu ke uma buchaza le ndawo ezahlukene ke izinhlamvu ukuthi lokho nakuthola nakuthola phansi? Yebo. Yes.
You actually said we also saw a projectile on the floor. There was a head, and there were also crutches. That's all these items were just near to each other.
Kwakune projectile yayiphansi, kwakunesigqoko kukhona futhi necrutch ukuthi konke lokho kwatholakala phansi futhi kungekho kude kunye kokunye.
Yebo.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, in this statement, you are saying, when you returned from the hospital, you went in there and conducted a thorough search, not so?
Manje ke kule statement lesi uthi uma senibuya ke esibhedlele nangena endlini nayo sesha kahle.
Subsequent, or whilst you were searching, you then found a bullet that was on a sink table.
Nasethi uma nisesha kanjalo ke nase nithola lenhlamvu ke eyayi ku zinc.
Further on, there were fragment bullets which were on the kitchen floor and the tiles were damaged.
Futhi ke nama fragment ama bullet aye phansi ke nokuthi othayela nabo ke babonakalisiwe noma babonakele.
Now the question is, what happened to that bullet that was on the sink table?
Umbuzo manje ke ulona ukuthi le bullet enhlamvu ke eyathola lapha yana kuya sink ke kwenzekani ngayo?
Ngiyacabanga ukuthi la ngiyabona nala icrash ekhona kwangesiyi bullet ngoba ngangishilo eqaleni ukuthi kwakuyi lokho kuphambili kwenhlamvu kwakungekho kwisink kwakuseduze kwesink la khona icrashes nalezi zinto ezinye isink le ephezulu kwayo kwakuphansi kuyifloor next to the sink.
Yeah, I wasn't referring to a bullet because, as you can see, that it's scratched out. It's what I referred to earlier on. That the projectile. It is what I was talking about, and it was not on the sink table. It's the sink, but it was down on the floor.
Mr. Mthethwa, this is your additional statement. You know, sometimes when you give additional statements, it's a clarification, or you tend to give more on what you would have said in the first statement. Not so. Statement
Lana
was
ke
taken.
statement sakho sakamuva lesi. Ngokunjalo ke uma wenza statement ke ukuthi ubusowusenzile ngaphambili unikeza lokho noma usho lokho ongakushongo kulesi obusenzile eqaleni.
Not so.
Akho kanjalo.
Kukanjalo.
It is so.
And we have told this court that the statement was made, you read it, you signed it as an indication of the fact that you were happy with the contents thereof. Not so.
Nokuthi ke futhi ke wasenza statement lesi wasifunda wasizwa wasizwisisa futhi wabe usuyasayinda ke ngokwenza kanjalo ke ukuvuma ke ukuthi lokho okulana ke kuyilona iqiniso.
Yebo.
Yes.
What appears to be the problem? Because the witness says he scratched out cartridge, correcting it to read.
Yes, my lord.
Bullet.
Let me quickly go to the explanation that he's trying to give.
No, let's first start with, do you admit that he says he scratched out?
Cartridge, yes, my lord.
Yeah, so that you can't read that into the statement.
Yes.
Fine, okay.
Yes, my lord. Yes.
Now he's explaining
Now
what he
you
meant
asked- yes,
by
ma'am.
a bullet. Is that
Yes.
what you are explaining, sir?
Uchaza ke ukuthi usho ukuthini uma ukhuluma ngenhlamvu. Yilokho
The one you
uchaza.
say it was on the sink and what happened to it?
No, I think the court is trying to say to the witness that he's not giving this explanation in relation to a cartridge, but in relation to a bullet. I don't have a problem with that. Yes. Now, my question is, in relation to what you have scratched here, apparently you wrote initially that it was a bullet, it was a cartridge. And then when you were reading the statement, just to find out if the information that is contained in this statement is correct, you went on to scratch that word cartridge and you wrote the word bullet on it, and then you initialed on the sides, not so?
Lana angithi kwabhala ucartridge wasuyabona ke umfundi ukuthi cha ungasiyona ku cartridge wabhala ubullet wase uya initial ke lapha yana ke eceleni.
Not so?
Ngiyayibona into esididayo lo sync table.
I see what it is that is confusing us. It is the sync table.
No, I'm not confused. I'm not confused.
I'll be allowed to explain, my lord.
La kubhala ukuthi on the sync table mina ngithi lali phansi eduze kosink.
Where it is written sync table, I am saying it was on the floor next to the sink.
Exactly. That is my point. That is exactly my point. You had earlier on told this court that you know English, but because this is court, you would prefer that what is contained in the statement that was supposed to be read to you should be rather interpreted. But the gist of what you're saying is you don't have a problem with English, not so?
Ushilo ke nangaphambili ke ukuthi awunankinga nje ngesingisi ukuthi nje kusenkantolo ke lana ukuthi lokho okubhaliwe lana ufuna nje ukuthi ukuhunyishelwe. Kodwa isingisi akusuka ukuthi unenkinga naso.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And as a further addition to that, on the very same sentence, you did effect some corrections on an information that was not properly elicited from you. You scratched out that word cartridge, you inserted bullet because you realized that that cartridge was a wrong word in that sentence, not so? And I don't want to argue with you.
Uma ubona ke emuva kokuthi sekubhaliwe ke lokho ukuthi kubhalwe ucartridge ke lana ubese umcisha ke ucartridge wafaka ke ubullet.
Yes, lo wayithatha statement kimi uyena wacisha.
Yes, the person who took the statement from me is the one who scratched.
As a confirmation of that, you also initialed that the word that was not supposed to be there should be scratched out and inserted the right word, which was bullet, not so?
Ukukonfirma ke lokho wase uya initial ke nawe lapha yana.
Uyazi la mangikhumbula kahle sasiphikisana ngayo singakalitholi leli igama le bullet project time. Ngicabanga ukuthi lithole nje sesazi ukuthi kuyini lokho okuphambili. So sasiphikisana ngakho lokho ngeke sithi cartridge ngoba icartridge lingemuva. So kwazi kwathiwa ngcono sithi ibullet ngoba vele kuyibullet phambili even noma sekulimele.
What was happening here is that the two of us were having an argument about this word, because and then we were saying that it can't be the cartridge, and then because at the time we were not even aware as to what it is that is being referred to as the bullet projectile, and then we then said bullet because even if it is damaged, it is still referred to as a bullet.
Thank you. That's not my concern. My concern
What's
is
your concern, Mr. Mnisi?
you are saying that there's an item that was found on the sink table.
No, but he's conceded that he's made a mistake. He meant to say it was next, on the floor, next to the sink. Is that what we're not saying, sir?
Akusikona kusho ukuthi kwakuphansi kodwa eduze kosink.
Yes, ngizama ukusho lokho ukuthi not kwisink phansi eduze
Yes,
kasink.
how can you
I'm
spend
trying to say
the
that,
whole
that
day
it's not on the sink but it
repeating
was
this
on the
thing?
floor next to the sink.
In the very same sentence, you are saying there were items that were found on the floor. Now you're specifically mentioning those items that were found on the floor. Is that not so?
Uma seyiqhubeka ke le sentence lena ke kuyachaza ke lapho ukhona okunye kwatholakala phansi ke phansi kuyona le sentence lena.
Is that not so?
Akho kanjalo.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
And you specifically mentioning that this bullet was found on a sink table, but other items were found on the floor. And this is not a repetition. This comes from you, not so?
Lana uthi le bullet lena yatholakala ku sink table. Into le ephuma kuwena kusuku ukuthi ngiyaphinda phinda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm putting it to you, Mr. Mthethwa, that you have not been honest with this court in your evidence in chief. There are items which were found, there are exhibits which were found at the scene which were not disclosed. This is one of them. The bullet that was found on the sink.
Ngithi kuwena ke awukhuluma iqiniso ke kwenkantolo ukuthi khona ke kwatholakala okungazange kushiwo ke.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if that submission is correct. The witnesses explain what he meant. Now counsel is putting his own interpretation. We submit.
Yeah, and the law is very clear, Mr. Mnisi. A witness must be accorded an opportunity to explain a contradiction. I can quote you the cases. State versus Malafaladiso, 2013. State versus Govenda. State versus Singh.
State versus Brainers and
Yes.
Yes, I know all those cases.
So you've
Yes.
got to, this witness says, I made a mistake. I wanted to say the bullet was on the floor next to the sink. And now we're arguing about that. He says he's made a mistake.
Unfortunately, my daughter, the mistake that a court wants to say that it is.
No, it's not the court saying that.
Yes.
No, I don't give evidence.
Yes.
He is saying that. I made a mistake. Say, Mr. Mthethwa, are you not saying you made a mistake by saying the bullet was on the sink?
Asikuthi uthi wenze iphutha uma uthi inhlamvu lena yayi sink table. That's correct, my lord.
Yes. You intended to say it was lying on the floor next to the sink. Is that your evidence?
Wena ubufakazi bakho uthi wawuthi wena ke yayileli phansi eduze kosink.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, may I listen to the evidence? Okay. Are you through, sir?
Wanted to put to him, my lord, and there is nothing wrong
Yeah,
when
fine.
I put my vision to him.
Yeah, fine, no problem.
Yes. I want to repeat that there are some exhibits that were found on the scene. In fact, this exhibit that's in dispute now, that is patently indicated in your statement, that exhibit has not been disclosed to the investigating officers of this case.
Kunalokho kwatholakala lapha abangazange ke batshelwe ngako abaphenyi noma abasethi beqala ke lena ke enye yazo le.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to ask?
No, madam.
You're coughing.
I nearly hit my finger, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Ngumana?
My Lord, I just have one question. on the statement.
Yes?
Yes, I'll take on where my colleague ended, at paragraph 14.
Right.
But before I go to that paragraph, Sergeant, is it correct that you told this court that on your first visit, there was a head that was on the floor? That is after Kumalo had opened the door for you.
Angithi ukushilo lokho ukuthi nkathi niya lapha yana kokuqala ke kunalesi sigqoko enasithola phansi.
Yeah.
Yes.
The very same head was there on your second visit from the hospital.
Leso sigqoko leso sasikhona ke lapho uma nibuyela lapha.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to take you to paragraph 14 of the statement that was introduced by the State Council. It reads as follows. I'm just going to start with the background because there's a background to the question that I want to ask from you. It says the following. Captain Zwane from the detective service also arrived and we pointed to him the scene and exhibits. Okay. Later on, the crime scene technician, Constable Musia, arrived and processed the scene. Kelly's mother showed me a head with multiple colors and distinctive were black and white. It was on the floor near the kitchen door. I didn't see it when we came in for the first time and when we came from the hospital, close quotation.
Lana ke uCaptain Zwane wase uCaptain Zwane obuya kuma detective service wase efika ke sase simtshengisa ke iscene kanye futhi nama exhibit kamuva ke kwase kufika ke I technician yescene uConstable Musia wase processa ke iscene uma kaKelly wase ngikhombisa ke isigqoko esinemibala ke futhi ke eyayigqamileke kwakuwumnyama kanye nomhlophe sasiphansi ke eduze kwesicabha sasekitchen angizange ngisibone inkathi sifika lapha yana okokuqala nangenkathi sibuya esibhedlela.
Are you following? Sergeant?
Uyalandela yini?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you able to provide an answer?
Unganikeza ngempendulo?
I thought you were listening.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ulalela.
Ngilale.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I've just told you the background of my question. You said that the first time when you arrived there was a head. On the second visit there was a head, but that is contrary to the contents of that paragraph.
Uthe ngaphambi uma nifika oqala lapha yana kwakunesigqoko nangenkathi nibuya futhi esibhedlela kwakunesigqoko kodwa ke lana uthi ke angizange ngisibone inkathi sifika lapha yana kokuqala nangenkathi esibuya ngayo esibhedlela manje ukuthi ke lokhu kuyaphikisana nalokho okushilo la enkantolo.
Ukufika kwethu okokuqala noma sasibona isigqoko kodwa sasingekho ukuthi senzani siyini la.
When we arrived for the first time, we saw the head, but we couldn't say as to what the head was doing there or why was the head there. We couldn't tell that.
Sesibuya okwesibili wathi mayengena umama Oloma Khumalo wasithatha isigqoko wathi nasi isigqoko besithwele oyedwa labantu abangenile. Sase ngiyamcela ukuthi sibuyisele la besikhona. Wasibuyisela ke phansi.
And then when we came back now for the coming from hospital, Makhumalo then took pick up the head and said that here's the head that was worn by one of the people that entered. I then requested her to put it back where it was.
But that is not what the last lines of that paragraph says. It says, when you came in there for the first time and on the second occasion, the head was not there, but I hear you saying that when you went in for the first time, there was a head there.
Kodwa ke ayisikona lokho kushoyo ayisikona okubhaliwe lana ke kusho ukuthi ke lesi sigqoko lesi ke awuzange usibone kodwa ke wena uthi uma ningena sasikhona isigqoko lapho kodwa asikona okubhaliwe la.
Hayi kunjengoba ngisho.
It is as I'm putting it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, my lord. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Yeah, and we must all remember as lawyers that when a statement is made by a deponent, it is not made under cross-examination. And that's the law.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mthethwa, me, I've got a different proposition. You say when you arrived with Matebula at the scene, right? You started you were on the street and there was a lady who gave you some information. Am I quoting you correctly?
Ngizwe kahle yini uthi inkathi nifika lapha kokuqala namathebuli kunalo mama ke lapha owayenikeza ke ama directions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you describe the physical attributes of the lady? Was it tall, short, what?
Uma ungamchaza ke ngomzimba ke lo mama lona kwakuwumama omude omfushane.
Wangasamkhumbuli kahle kodwa wayengekho mude kakhulu wayekahle nje.
Although I can't remember properly, she wasn't that tall, my lord. She was just okay.
What was she wearing? Can you remember?
Usakhumbula ukuthi wayegqokeni? No.
Okay, fine. Where was she standing? On the street?
Ngaba wayemi
Or on the
estradini
pavement?
noma ku pavement?
Wayemi ngapha kwi-pavement leya kwa Khumalo.
On the pavement in the Khumalo household, my lord.
And she is the one who approached you and spoke to you. You didn't go to her.
Ingabe uyena waza kunina wakhuluma nani akusinina enaya kuyena?
Sathi nje masiqala sibreaka sivula ifastela ngoba sasimbona enza kanje emisa i-van.
Just as we stopped, opened the window, my lord, because she was waving, stopping the van.
Then wavele wathi babaleke bashona ngapha. Savele nathi sagijima sarawunda sathi sabuya.
And then she pointed that they ran towards this direction, and we turned around, my lord, and we just rounded and came back.
They ran towards this direction, and she pointed out what the general consensus there here is that there's a park.
Wakhomba ngoba makhulunywa lana khulunywa ngepark wakho uma ekhomba wakhomba ekhuluma ngani
Wakhomba ngasepark.
towards the park.
Right? And then did you proceed towards the park?
Ingabe naya nina lapho ke ngasepark?
Yeah.
Yes, my lord.
Right? And what did you do there?
Nafike nenzani lapho?
Salayitha ngoba kukhanya vele kodwa salayitha namanye ama-light la sibheka nje mhlawumbe umuntu obalekayo sithi mhlawumbe singathuka siyithola kuye sangabona muntu sabuya.
The lights were on, my lord, but we also applied our lights, the other lights, with the hope that maybe we might see someone running.
You never alighted from your vehicle.
Aniphumange emotweni yini?
Hayi asiphumanga.
No, we didn't.
Why didn't you alight from your vehicle? Here's a contemporaneous situation where a person alerts you to the movement of alleged persons who have done something wrong.
Kwakunganike ukuthi ningaphumike emotweni ngoba ke angithi manje kunomuntu lana nanjengoba usho ukuthi lo muntu wayimisa event useyanitshela useyakhomba ke ukuthi kukhona okwenzekile ke la nokuthi labantu babaleke baya ngapha yini ke kwakuyini imbangela ukuthi ningaphuma emotweni yini?
Ngoba ama-light ethu ayemakhulu sasiyitshela ukuthi mhlawumbe sizombona umuntu egijima ngoba silapha phakathi emotweni.
And because of the size of our lights, my lord, we told ourselves that even if we were inside the vehicle, we would be able to see someone if there was someone running.
The park has got plantations. Does it have plantations, trees, grass? Just define the park.
Kunokulinyiwe ke ngokonjwayelo ke kunokulinyiwe kumapark kunezihlahla kunezitshalo leyana ipark yayinani yona.
Or is it a typical township park?
Noma ile park nje
Or it's just background?
yaselokishini.
Ipark nje encane lapho kahle kahle shuthi double up nje kuyiparkinyana.
It's just a small park, my love. Anyway, you can just say it's just a way through for people to just walk.
Where does it lead to? Because I'm concerned about the dimensions of the park. Because I want to say to you, my view is, if you were conscientious enough to get out of the vehicle, you could have went into the heart of the park to see the dimensions, the possible escape routes, and you could even have called for backup, because that's a crime scene also. Is that not so, sir?
Ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi le park lena uma nibona ke kwakuyi park eholela kuphi nendawo ngoba uma kwakuwukuthi naniphumile emotweni nanizokwazi ukuthi nihambe kuleyo park nibone ukuthi iholela kuphi noma naningabiza ne backup ngoba ke nayo ke manje kwakuseyi crime scene.
Akusi park engathi ifihlekile. Iyabonakala nje. Mawuqhamuka ngapha uqhamukela kuyo noma ujikela ngemoto uqhamuka ngapha futhi uqhamukela kuyo. So indawo nje mhlawumbe ingakanyana nje park encane nje.
It's not a hidden park, my lord. If you appear on the one side, you just come straight to the park, even on the other side. Oh, it was just a small park, maybe this size, my lord.
But you didn't investigate it.
Kodwa-ke anikaze niyiphenye.
Okay.
No.
No, I understand. You know what's also curious? The dimensions which are encapsulated in all these, Mr. Baloyi and councils, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It is not depicted as part of the crime scene, that park, as you're defining it. Is that correct, Mr. Baloyi?
Indeed, my
It's
lord.
not
Not
defined
only
in the...
photos before court.
That's it.
Okunye
There's no
futhi-
record of it on these volumes and volumes and volumes of documents about the fact that the alleged criminals, or you want to call them intruders, ran in that direction and accessed a park. There's nothing about that.
futhi kunye kushoyo-ke inkantolo ukuthi kuzo zonke le y'thombe lezi kuwo wonke la maphepha alapha enkantolo akukho la y'thombe zepark leyo eyikhona-ke ukutshengisa-ke noma ikhotha iboneke ukuthi la bantu ekuthiwa bangena-ke babaleka baya ngakulolu hlangothi azikho lezo y'thombe lezo.
Are you with me? That's my
Yes.
concern.
Yes.
Any questions arising?
None, my lord. I've got none, sir.
None? Okay.
None, my lord.
Thank you, thank you. So we'll wait for you tomorrow, Mr. Mthethwa,
So kulinda kusasa-ke
with
baba.
the documents.
Siyabonga. Ngiyabonga.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Baloyi.
Mr. Court, please, my lord. There is another witness who's standing outside.
Okay.
Just to know if there'll be enough time to...
What time is it?
It's 4:15. I'm sorry, 3:15.
3:15. Where does he come from, this witness?
He's also from First Lawrence Police Station, my lord.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, as,
My lord, I suggest that I conclude with my cross-examination before we move to the next one. Because they're coming together from the same place.
Is that so?
Yes.
well, I can also mention that there's a separate photo album in the second docket depicting the park.
The park?
Yeah, should it become necessary to...
No, that it didn't feature in the cross-examination.
No, yes, not on those photos before.
Yeah, okay, fine, I hear you. Yeah, let's explain to the witnesses then that we will have to finish the cross-examination of Mr. Mthethwa. And then they must excuse us for not attending to them presently.
On the court.
Bapi, where's the witness? Yeah, the witness was supposed to be. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm told you will not be able to finalize your evidence today. Are you available tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow at 10. Okay, thanks. Okay, again until 10 tomorrow.
Siyasa-ke ngo-10.